Hey guys, welcome back. It's Brian here with your May 2024 real estate market update for Orange County, California. A couple things we're going to focus on is the numbers and what we see coming next. So, a couple quick items. Okay, so a couple things. We have talked about this before, but this is the new normal. Whatever happened before this, all the years we've had of increasing equity and rates being super low, that entire lifestyle is gone. Although we are all here long enough to remember when that happened, it no longer exists for how we're going to analyze the data today. What we're going to do is understand where the market is and where we see it going. So here's what you need to understand. So when we focus on our inventory, we look at three categories. We look at new inventory, which means new homes to the market. We look at closed inventory, which means homes that have sold, and current active listings. And there's something very interesting about this specific month that I want to share with you over the last 5 years of data. So in 2024, today, new market inventory, new homes to market, was equal to 2,253. 2023 was 2,219. 2022 was 3,350. 2021 was 3,490, and 2020 was 3,054. Now, the reason that is interesting is that for the first time in basically this new period we're in, we've got very consistent numbers showing the difference between what we had before rates start going up and after rates start going up. Let me explain why. In 2020, the average interest rate was 3.15%. The average rate in 2021 was 3.13%. Then the rate goes to 5.62%. And once you know it, that's the exact same period of time where the listing inventory drops from 3,350 to 2,219. But here's the thing, the activity stayed the same. What that means is the increase in rates took out a significant amount of people who were wanting to buy. But it also took out a significant amount of people who wanted to sell, because if they were going to sell their property, they were going to end up going and moving into another bigger property. Because over the last 10, 15 years, that's what our market has been. It's been flipping my house into a new house. And I did that 3 and 4 times. Some families 5, 6, 7 times, moving wherever it was, they had the opportunity to do it because the values were going up. Well, now if interest rates stop the amount of equity that rises so quickly, what you're going to see is the amount of activity will stay the same for the people who were going to do something no matter what, versus the aspirational buyers and sellers who are just trying to take advantage of what was going on in the marketplace, if that makes sense. So that is what the biggest piece of this is. What you understand is we have now hit a consistent marker over the last 3 years, which means you now get to look forward to this as consistency unless, and always unless, we hit a financial iceberg. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about the numbers is this. We have a consistent amount of inventory that is coming to marketplace. We've had 2 months worth of inventory for the last 4 years essentially, and it has not changed. That means we have a perpetual amount of property coming. However, there are 2 things that we're going to pay attention to, and that's if we find more inventory coming to market and the rates stay the same, you're going to see the months expand, which means we'll have more inventory than buyers. If rates go down, that's going to get better. But the key thing we want to look at is this. If you're a person who is trying to figure out what's going on in the marketplace and you really want to see it, there are 3 categories in the marketplace. Category number 1 is a home that is very old, really beat up, it's going to get torn down, or it's going to get renovated. There is a customer base for that, and it flies off the market because there is a spread where they flip that house. The second category, which would be the top category, is the category of a flipped property, a renovated property, a new built property. That has its own customer who wants it. They'll pay top dollar for it because it is done. Most properties will sit in the middle category, which I guess is technically 2, but for this case, it's number 3. The category number 3 is everything in the middle that is not specifically old, not specifically new, not bad, but not good. It's just kind of a house. It's got some upgrades, may have been 10 years ago, but they're not completely renovated, they're not completely old. And that category represents the biggest chunk, and that piece is growing. You're gonna have a lot of people come to market and think, well, my house is worth X because my neighbor's is worth X, I want that value. And the reality is what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to understand the pricing on that is specific to that house, and it may not mean you get the same number as your neighbor if they were a nicer home than yours. You have to consider every single one of those their own special snowflake. If you want to know the best way forward and you want to understand what's going on in the marketplace, I want you to look at every home through a magnifying glass of, is this thing ready to be gutted? Is it okay, or is it amazing? If it's okay, that market is swinging in price quite a bit. How do I do the most inexpensive thing possible, the most convenient thing possible to change my price and move up into the higher bracket? That is the best investment you can make right now as a seller. And quite frankly, there is going to be a pretty good difference between your low, middle, and high. And some of you may really want to invest the extra money and get the higher price. Some may say, you know what, there's not that big of a difference between this and that. I'm just going to take it as is and do nothing. So if you're a seller, here's how I want you to pursue selling in the marketplace. You do not have to call us, but this is what I would say you should do. You want to get 3 quotes for the sale of your property. Quote number 1 is, what's my value today if I do nothing? Quote number 2 is, what's my value today if I do a bare minimum of upgrades and lifestyle changes to the property, painting, cleaning, staging, etc. What would my value be? And number 3 is if I did the more major stuff. If I did countertops, if I did cabinet doors, if I changed vanities, if I changed lighting, if I did more of that major stuff, what would that change my value to? Because that middle group we talked about is so expansive, there's not a lot of properties dipping up into the higher end in every neighborhood. So if you were to make some adjustments to your house, you may find that you can get the highest number or higher numbers in your category simply because you gave this some thought and said, how do I become more valuable to the consumer? And that will benefit you greatly. So in this report, that's all I have for you. We'll see you next time next month, which will be our halfway point of the year, and we'll have a lot to report. If you have any questions, you can reach us directly. Otherwise, we will see you next time.